Hello and welcome once again to Caversham Central. Bit of a different video for you today. I've been asked on a few occasions by people to do a bit of a tour of the layout. The layout has been built up over the last, I guess, sort of 3 or 4 years, and whilst some of you have been with me for the whole journey, I've now got over 2,000 subscribers, so it's clearly a lot of you that won't have seen progress and might have just missed what the layout is all about. So I'm going to give you a tour of the layout and show you everything that there is to show, really. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope that it answers any questions, or some of the questions at least, that you might have. And and here we go. Okay, so the first thing to show you is the space that the layout is situated in, and it's a loft conversion which I had converted to make space for the layout. Prior to this, it was set up in the garage in its first incarnation, but decided to take the plunge and get the loft converted, and have a nice warm well, mainly warm actually, home for the layout. So here we are. Couple of Velux windows and a row of LEDs lighting for the layout. It's not as light as it probably could or should be, but it does for me. So just panning round and moving in. I probably should have had a tidy up before I did this video, but I'd rather you guys see it how it is. The baseboards were made for me by a mate of mine who's a carpenter, and it's fairly sort of standard construction of plywood. And I've on top of it I've laid cork tiles, which I then painted brown as a sort of a base cover for everything. And as we sweep round, we can see the DMU unit, and all the way down to the town scene at the other end, and back up round the station. In terms of storage, you can probably see there, had some storage underneath along one side of the layout. My locos I store in these boxes with the foam inserts, which were supplied by, I think, JB Models. Did a great job on them, and the boxes themselves you can just get from Hobbycraft. So some of the locos, as I say, are kept in there, and the rolling stock is then on shelves. I also have as you can see, I think it's an old artist's set of drawers, which accommodates quite a lot of it as well. So the total layout, I think it's 17 foot by 12 foot, I think, in terms of the running space. So obviously plenty of running space there, and for the majority, no, actually for pretty much all of it, there's four lines running. The layout itself is predominantly running modern image, so i.e. modern day rolling stock. I did have a load of BR blue and sort of 80s rolling stock as well, but I've taken the plunge and decided to get rid of the majority of that. I've kept a few particularly favoured locos which I can use for rail tour specials and that kind of thing, but really this is designed to be a very much a modern day layout. So yeah, that's the room in itself, and I'll now take you around for a slightly more close-up tour of the different areas of interest. So the first thing to highlight really is the power that I use, and as you can see, I've got an ECOS ESU command station. I saw this at I think it was at Alexandra Palace a few years ago, and for me it just seemed to be the best system available. What I like about it, if I zoom in, hopefully you can see that, there we go, is you actually can upload your own icons and what have you for the train, so you know exactly what it is that's running. It can accommodate hundreds of locos on here, and I'm by no means using its full capacity. You can have your points running from it. There's all sorts you can do. For me, I literally just use it to program locos and to run trains, and I'm starting to get a bit more involved with running consists as well. The points around the layout are manually operated. I was going to use point motors, but for one reason or another I just never really kind of got round to it, so that the points are all manually operated. And one of the jobs I haven't done yet is I've got, as you can see, some signals here. They haven't been wired in either, so they're just some dummy signals at the moment. And lying underneath, you can see the the wires hanging down. There's a power bus running all the way around underneath the layout, and also another power bus which I use for the lighting, and which I'll also use for the signals as and when I get round to sorting those out. So that's the power and the operation side of things. Okay, so in terms of the actual scenery, if you like, I'm going to start here with the scenic break. And what we have is this particular part of the layout, as you can see, it's on hinges, and it actually lifts up to enable me to get through to the rest of the room easily. The reality is I spend more time probably crawling underneath than I should do, but there we go. So moving along, that is then separated from the scenic area by this tunnel portal, which I bought from a supplier on eBay and painted and weathered up myself. The hills and the cutting on either side I made out of expanding foam, which I know is a technique I've seen other people using on YouTube. But expanding foam, which you just get from your local DIY store, worked really well for me. And so I used that, then covered it with plaster bandage, and then obviously got to work with the static grass and the scatter and all the rest of it. So fairly overgrown. As we come round, one of the areas which is absolutely underneath the window is the allotment area. And I think you see a heck of a lot of allotments from trains. They seem to be a fairly regular line side kind of detail. So created allotments there, which is mainly, obviously got some Hornby Skeldale scenic items, as well as a few plastic kits that I made, and just a few bits and pieces that I've scratch built. The compost bins are scratch built and so on. And then running behind the allotment we have a dirt track which leads round to this line side storage area, which I just use as a bit of a dumping ground. So that's at the end of the platform, and we have the kind of storage yard that you see regularly on the network. So that's the first area to show you, and we'll move on now to the station. The station is 3 platforms, as you can see. I constructed the platforms from MDF, which I then had kind of sanded down at the ends, and there's too many trains in the platform, you can't really see. But I've used the Pico platform edging, which was then spray painted and weathered up. So they're quite long platforms. You can accommodate probably a 6 or 7 carriage train quite easily. So plenty of room, and there's a through line, as you can see. There's a through line as well. So plenty of room around the platform. The station building is Hornby Scaledale, and I've also got one of the Red Star parcels buildings there as well, also from Hornby. The advertising hoardings I made myself from card, and then just downloading images from the web. And the signage, again, I just made myself and attached it to existing plastic signs that you can get. I can't remember who makes them. I think it might be Pico or someone like that. And then we have the signal box at one end of the platform, which is a Bachmann Scenecraft, which I've just improved with obviously the naming and just some more sort of signage that you would typically see around. And the hard standing that that it stands on actually is made out of plaster. I did it with just plaster that you can just squeeze on there and level out. So it actually looks, I think, pretty good. So as we move along the station, we then get to the main station building. Now I'd never scratch built anything before in my life, and this was my first attempt at scratch building, and yeah, probably quite an ambitious thing to do, but I think it actually works okay. Caversham Central is meant to be on the main line from Bristol through into Paddington, and Reading, those of you who've been through Reading will know that it's had a heck of a lot of money spent on a new station building, which is what this is based on. I mean, it's by no means as elegant as the one at Reading, but it's my kind of go at, or my nod rather, to that station building. So we have obviously escalators down to each of the platforms. Also inside, hopefully you can see inside okay, I've put elevators as well. What isn't in there is all the shops and everything that you tend to get, and that possibly could be a project if I was to do this again. The building itself is constructed from card, primarily card, with the self-adhesive grey engineering bricks, and also with plastic card for the roof and various other parts of the structure. It's got lighting inside, as have the kind of the waiting rooms that I've made, so it lights up at night. And then of course, yeah, there's all the signage along the side. Let me just come around, you can see the other side. There we go, and there's the lifts. So that really is the station in a sort of few minutes overview. As I say, it's all pretty much scratch built, and it was my first go at doing anything like that, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think it still looks pretty good. So yeah, there's the station. So moving round from the station, We then go to a fairly typical sort of urban scene. I wanted to have an industrial unit. And we've got a number of, again, it's Bachmann and Hornby buildings. I need to install that floodlight at some point to give it some lighting. The flooring is from modelscenery.com, and really big fan of their stuff, I've got to say. Just print it off, and I mounted it on, I think, cereal packets, and then just gave it a coat of matte varnish. I think that's a really good, effective flooring that we have. So as we follow it round, as I say, we have the industrial units, and then just a couple of blocks of flats again, which I think are fairly typical. And then running down the side here, before we get into the town scene, there's a couple of little cameos. Someone's been a victim of a murder, unfortunately. This area here is actually the last bit of scenic work that I've done on the layout. Put in, get down so you can see a bit better. Again, just line side equipment. A hut which was a kit which I've built and weathered. I'm pretty happy with how that looks, and just fenced it off. So a bit of interest there. So from here the emphasis moves to a town scene. As you can see, we've got a cutting through the town, which 3 of the 4 main lines go through. The 4th actually goes underneath the town into a tunnel there. The town itself is again just plywood base, which I've mounted up on a piece of timber, and it's all sort of fairly robust. And again, the models are a selection of Hornby and Bachmann bits and pieces. Can also just show you this. There we go, lift that up, and hopefully you can see that the Belisha beacons work as well. Got a couple of bridges running over the cutting. So as we move around, you can see we've got housing, we've got a bit of a car park, and then more housing on this side. I really enjoyed doing the gardens, actually. I'm a bit of a keen gardener myself anyway, to be honest, so it was good fun to recreate them in miniature. I want to be this guy. Look at that, he's having a great time, isn't he, in his garden with his radio, probably listening to the cricket or something. Maybe a cheeky beer or 2 on the go. A bit of a party in that back garden, a bit of a barbecue. And on this side, as I said, we've got a car park, which then just changes into a light industrial unit, and I've put that there really because it didn't fit anywhere else. And then I had this kind of slightly weird little space I wasn't really sure what to do with, and someone suggested that actually to have a car wash would be good. So that's the home of Spit and Polish car wash. Plenty of customers. And that's the town scene. The tunnel at the other end from the main line comes out from. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing the town. I think it's just good fun, and I hope you'll agree. I think it looks reasonably a reasonable representation of of a modern high street. So then moving round from the town scene, we have the fuel depot. Assume it's fuel unloading or loading, not sure, one or the other. The fencing, I'm pretty sure was Pico. Took quite a long time to do, but I think looks good. And again, this is using predominantly Hornby Scaledale items. Long since discontinued, I think. And there's lighting here, so it lights up at night as well. And then an office block for the workers. Carrying round along the line side, we have a scrap car yard, and again I had fun making this. Gave me a real good chance to use scenic rust and those kind of products. And then the main line heads off down that way. We also have another raised area with a bridge running across the lines. So the raised area, I just wanted to try and have it a bit of a representation of the countryside. So the ground falls away. Let me zoom in. Hopefully you can see. Ooh. So it's just very wild and overgrown. So it heads down to, we've got a pillbox down here as well. Again, the sort of thing that you sometimes see on line sides. So the raised area, we've got three houses and a road. Not really much to say. I mean, you can see for yourself what it is. And as for the lines themselves, I have a couple of sidings which come off from the main line to enable me to store some stock. Just come the other side. Something that often gets commented on is the bridge here. Give peas a chance. Those of you that travel on the M25, those of us who are fortunate enough to encounter the delights of the M25 will probably recognise just after on a clockwise direction, I think it is just after the M40, there's a bridge with Give Peas a Chance on it, so I thought I'd recreate it. The bridge is scratch built. A bit of fun really. And then finally we move into the TMD, which actually I rebuilt about a year or so ago. But first of all, we've got some sidings here with a couple of abandoned pieces. So there's a 47 there, and then an old Mark 1 coach, together with a Scaledale water tower, which is obviously seen better days. Got the tall sort of gantry lights. All of the lighting comes from CR Signals, who I think do some great stuff. So really, really good and lifelike representations. One thing around the layout is quite a lot of graffiti, and I know I've had people say, "Oh, you know, it's don't like graffiti" before, but whether you like it or not, it's a fact of modern life. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is a representation of modern life. Some of the graffiti, such as that, I've painted myself. Some of it I've you know, bought stickers, transfers I should say, not stickers. But yeah, there's quite a lot of graffiti around the layout. Anyway, so the TMD, there's a number of lines come into it, culminating in a couple of TMD buildings. So the TMD itself, we've got first of all a sort of a mess office compound, and then moving round, fairly typical stuff really. It's again Bachmann Scenecraft TMD building, although there's also some Hornby items as well. We've got a fueling point, which has currently got a 67 in there. And as you can see, another building, a single track building as well. The hard standing area I actually made from scratch. It was so much easier to just cut around and to use, you know, you've got the track running through it. So it's literally made out of artist's mounting card, and I've just weathered it up for a representation of these big sort of slabs of concrete that you get. And then weathered them again from obviously where the locos would come in. And I've made sure there's loads of sort of bits and pieces of junk lying around, the kind of stuff that you would generally see. And there we go. Together with the network rail vans and so on and so forth. And that's the TMD, and from there really, I mean, that's the main junction point on the main line, which follows round into the second scenic break, and we're back to the beginning where we started. So that really is Caversham Central. The stuff I'll do differently is, if I was to have my time again, definitely I'd probably try and make it slightly bigger. I'd probably try and make it slightly less busy as well, I think, and maybe that's something I'll work on in the future. But I hope you like what you've seen. I hope you now got a bit more of a feel for what it's all about. And I'll be posting a running video very, very shortly, in the next day or so. So thanks for checking in, and I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot.